Fantastic here, and we are back for the CACC Digest recap for the month of May. Once again, I'm your host, Arthur Fantastic, aka the Hot Shot, aka the Irresistible Venom, aka the Bishonen Ronin, and we're going to talk about a lot today. But first, let me begin with my intro. So, if you want to follow me on social media, specifically Instagram, it's Arthur Fantastic on IG, 1K instead of IC. Holler at your boy. It's going to be on the bottom of the screen also. With me, as always, is my beautiful wife, Taylor, off screen, Caramel the Sauce, helping me with the technical stuff. Anything else to plug personally? I would say Demetrius Johnson is going to be in Winter Garden, which is a part of the greater Orlando area. It's part of Central Florida. And I'm trying to get an interview with him. I've reached through multiple channels. I've emailed his talent agent or his agency, whatever that email is in his bio, as well as his personal email. I've had a couple of people reach out. As I said, I've reached out to Josh Barnett. I've reached out to Gabriel Stinson. I reached out to Pacholo, Pancreation Philosopher, all friends of the channel. Maybe they'll be able to get through to him because I'm sure he has a social media manager. And, you know, who the fuck is Arthur Fantastic other than you guys? You guys know what's up. You guys see the speciality, the specialness, the fantasticness of me. But, before I go stomping around, letting my dick wave all over the place, I'm going to have to get a little bit of harbingers of my arrival. So hopefully the greats, Josh Barnett, Gabriel Stinson, Pancreation Philosopher, that is Pocholo, get through to Mighty, and I get that interview because it would be a great interview for catch wrestling. Not a lot of people have asked him about catch wrestling, even though he trains at AMC, Matt Hume, in passing, maybe reference. But I would love to go into conversation with him. He's a nerd like me. I'll forgive him for that Mike Musumeci interview. Also, I've got Eddie Bravo coming here. Eddie Bravo is coming to Tampa here in Florida on August 16th. So I'm trying to reach out to him as well. So if any of my viewers know him, if anybody can reach out to him as well through the grapevine, I am would be grateful and appreciative, and I would love to make that happen. Talk to Eddie Bravo about catch wrestling and the normal things that we talk about on this channel: grappling rule sets, grappling competition, maybe even a little talking about karate combat, what his thoughts are on that. Has he heard about the catch wrestling competitions? These are all really interesting questions that we can touch on. But as for my personal announcements and anything else like that, not much. Just getting in there, grinding, Today we're broadcasting to you from CSA Orlando, my home gym, which I train at. Thank you so much, CSA Orlando, Coach Terry, Coach Jay, Coach Milo, Coach Frankie, for first off putting up with me, and also letting me train here and giving me such an amazing place to hone my art and train. And I'd also like to give a shout out to my training partners, who I've shouted out on the last Catch Digest, and they did well. We'll go into that. Their results and everything like that. I'm making another series, Road to ADCC, with the help of my teammates, and we're all the players here, all the grapplers here that are going to go compete from the competition team at the ADCC Open. We're kind of following them around, recording our practices, compiling footage of their competitions, and trying to put that out in a series. And I would love y'all to support that as well. I'll plug it more as it gets edited and put into place. And it'll be a perfect place for you to support your fellow catch wrestlers in their pursuit of the gold belts. Because the only color that matters is gold, and the only belt that matters is the championship belt sprinkled with gold diamonds. Gold and diamonds. Gold diamonds. I don't think that exists. Gold and diamonds. So, with that all being said, let's get into the episode today. We've got several segments, just like last episode. We'll be starting off with the Catch Wrestler Spotlight. We got a couple people to shout out and talk about who have been competing or have stepped into this spotlight one way or the other, and we need to really propagate the information of catch wrestlers are actually actively involved in grappling, and people just don't know. That people don't know the lineages. Mighty Mouse, one of the greatest of all time, is being announced over and over. Oh, he's doing gi jiu-jitsu. He's doing gi jiu-jitsu. But he comes from a catch wrestling background, and that's like something we should highlight. I hope I get that interview. Guys, pray and help me get that interview. We're also then going to go into upcoming catch competitions. We do have a couple in this next month or two going into summer. There's a whole bunch of spring stuff going on. Crazy. I think that's awesome that we have so much going on for catch wrestling right now. Then we're going to go into general wrestling news. Finally, we're going to go into a new segment. Not finally, but second to finally. Creator Spotlight, where we're going to talk about different creators that I've stumbled upon on YouTube or have been talking to on Instagram or stumbled upon on Instagram that I thought this last month they came out with something that was very catch wrestling-esque or tying catch wrestling or certain aspects of it to the current meta or current fighters, and or I'll be highlighting documentaries that are being put out about catch wrestling that if you haven't seen, you need to see. And for people who don't really know about catch wrestling or want to know, like, take a deep dive into the history, get like an introduction, stick around for the Creator Spotlight segment, and I'll be plugging an awesome documentary with and through which you will be able to get a nice, concise, introductory documentary experience that also includes the modern progression, if you will, of the sport of catch wrestling. And then finally, times two, we will end with upcoming seminars and closing thoughts. So let's get into it, guys. All right, segment one, Catch Wrestling Spotlight. Cheers, everyone. Cheers, baby. I got espresso. She made an Americano. Fancy. All right, so this first catch wrestler, they didn't necessarily do anything in the month of May that I've seen. Their last fight was actually in November of last year, but rather I stumbled upon them this past month. We actually put videos on our various TVs here in the gym during the day, and I'll put on, judo competition since we have a judo program here, wrestling since we have a wrestling program here, as well as various jiu-jitsu and MMA programs here because we have an American jiu-jitsu and MMA program here, and these are the things that we like, obviously. So one of the videos I was watching was on YouTube, which is the free stream of Road to UFC. Not sure what episode or whatever, but in this episode there was a female Chinese fighter that shouted out catch wrestling at the end of the fight. Now I'm going to clip in what she said here, probably just the audio with the picture because UFC is really serious about their copyright.
Here with my coach Burger. Thank you, my coach Burger. I grew up as a striker. Now I can win. I beat wrestlers in their own game, I feel. Really thank you, my coach Burger and my team, China Catch Wrestling. And of course, Kunming, Amba Mai Tai, and Yunnan Shili Wrestling Training Center. And of course, UFC Shanghai PI. Thank you everyone who helped me before and right now and maybe in the future. Thank you.
As you can see from the clip, Xi Ming is crediting catch wrestling to not only her wins and obviously crediting her team China Catch Wrestling Team, which is pretty sick. But she's saying specifically that she's out wrestling wrestlers who have wrestled all their lives because she has transitioned into training catch wrestling. And I think that's a very interesting point. I think it's a really interesting point because we see a lot of catch wrestling success in MMA. This is because, in my opinion, catch wrestling is conceptually in its foundation a better fit for MMA, whereas BJJ, some of the methodology would approve or even encourage conceding bottom position, guard or any other bottom position. Wrestling and catch wrestling, they encourage standing up and getting off your back because the pin you can lose. In addition, the grinding, cooking top position, it really sucks for the bottom person. And so it's better to fight out of that bottom position rather than slowly be pinned and or forced into a submission. Translating that into MMA, it'd be better to stand back up and take down your opponent on your own terms than to give up your back and be repeatedly struck in the face on bottom. Okay, very few guard players in MMA that are very successful with their guard. It has definitely moved toward a more wrestling game because so many people have become very savvy to the Jiu-Jitsu game, and it always has been heavily favored for wrestlers. Classically speaking, most champions, and even now most champions, come from a wrestling background. And, you know, take that for what it is, whether it's causation, wrestling causes you to have a better chance at becoming a champion, or correlative, and it doesn't necessarily cause any champion-like traits, is beyond the scope of this conversation. We won't even discuss that, but we do encourage you to wrestle. So, we're Catch Wrestling Digest. So, just a couple more notes about Xi Ming. She actually went viral a couple months ago. Everybody was talking about her because not only is she a registered doctor in China, she has been MMA fighting and her parents didn't know. So yeah, if you heard about that Chinese fighter that like her parents didn't know that she was fighting MMA, and now she's in the UFC. She's on a 5-win winning streak, last one by KO. We're all excited to go see her fight again. And she's a catch wrestler, and it doesn't seem like anyone's talking about it. And maybe in passing, but I thought I'd give her another shout out in the Catch Wrestler Spotlight segment. On to our next subject. Our next catch wrestler to take the spotlight is Angel Verduzco. Angel Verduzco, friend of the channel, and he is taking over for the coaching of the Bria Olinda Wrestling. He is going to be head coach, which I think is really sick. He made a post about it on Instagram, and they are the Wildcats, so he said the Wildcats is out of the bag. That's hilarious. What a dad joke. The Wildcat is out of the bag, Angel, and you are the head coach now. And I also saw him make a some type of announcement about going into pro wrestling, making his pro wrestling debut. I didn't see anything that came of it, so I really hope that it still happens sometime soon. Shout out to Angel Verduzco, 2-time catch wrestling world champion over at Snake Pit. Going to be there this summer, which is actually going to be taking place, if I'm not mistaken, later on this month. That all being said, got something in my mouth. We're going to go on to the next Catch Wrestler Spotlight. But I just want to say, Godspeed to Angel Verduzco in his next competition. We're rooting for you over here in Orlando. Take it back home again. Make it three-time world catch wrestling champion. Woo! Thank you. All right, the next subject of the Catch Wrestler Spotlight is going to be friend of the channel, also Brett Pastore, 71 kg. He is competing on Fury FC 105, Whitehead versus Valenzuela. It's taking place on June 22nd and going to be taking place in Houston, Texas. His opponent is going to be Amranjan Mansurov. This is going to be at 155. Brett Pastore himself, he's doing very well in MMA. I'm definitely proud of him representing as a catch wrestler, representing as combat sambo dude. He got gold this past month, if you recall, in the last episode. We reported that last month in the Catch Digest for the month of April, we saw Brett Pastore win gold at Combat Sambo Nationals, which means he's going to be representing the U.S. at Worlds. He's on a 2-fight winning streak, and this next fight, once again, it's going to be on the 22nd of this month. It's going to be on UFC Fight Pass. We should definitely support our brother catch wrestler. He's fought in Lethway. He's fought in Muay Thai. That's not even on his Sherdog or Tapology. He had like 5 wins in a row in pro grappling on Tapology. He's doing well, and I say once again, Godspeed to our brother Brett. We hope that you do well. And yes, I know that it was a big cut and I've changed clothes. I trained and showered and cleaned up, and so now I'm finishing the episode. There may be another fucking outfit change. Who knows what's going on? But moving on to the next subject of our Catch Wrestler Spotlight, we got PCI Jiu-Jitsu. I've been following them on Instagram for a while, but it wasn't until a podcast with Grappling Eric on YouTube entitled "You Need to Learn Catch Wrestling," featuring PCI Jiu-Jitsu. I got an argument with somebody in the comments. I don't even remember. I might put it on the screen. It was over how there is, for anybody who's been to enough competitions over the last 20 years, whether to spectate or compete or support teammates, you will see on a regular basis people being disqualified for just a high amplitude takedown. Not a slam, not a spike, but they just took the person down hard, you know what I mean, instead of soft. I don't know, you know what I mean. And if it's like a judo throw, it's not really a problem usually, but who knows. And it's just this uneven standard of rules, rule enforcement. That all being said, PCI Jiu-Jitsu had a great presentation on that podcast. And I 100% recommend it. I'll put it here. It'll be displaying on screen, but I'll also link it in the description below. He has a school out in Mission Viejo, California. He's been training a very long time, so his register and toolbox is so deep. And just hearing him talk opened up some doors in my mind. Definitely worth checking out both on Instagram and that podcast that I was talking about. He's very active in the catch wrestling community. He's commented on my gym's post that I edit. He's commented on my post with Josh Barnett and the clips of that interview that I did with him, friend of the channel once again. And here on his page, he's also hosting the Catch Wrestling 2-Day California Camp of fall 2025, which is going to be a crossover of Yuko Miyato and Joel Bain. That's Snake Pit Japan and Snake Pit USA, which is funny enough. I was wearing the Snake Pit spats today, so that look out for that if you're interested. Check out his Instagram, sign up. I'll mention it one more time when I talk about upcoming seminars. There's a lot more that are coming up in this month and the following month, so I want to get to those first. And just give this guy your support. He's super cool, super respectful, and the reason why we put him in that catch wrestler spotlight. Last catch wrestler for the catch wrestler spotlight that I want to bring up is Harry Gretsch, better known as Harry Kimura, a catch wrestler out of Australia. If you didn't know, he competed at the CJI Giles Trials, a 16-man tournament, which also had some super fights. That it was going for the last spot in the Giles team for CJA2, which is going to be in a quintet style. He went against a guy named Siraj Sufi. I hope I'm saying that name right. And they went to a decision, and unfortunately, it went against our boy. And the entire thing, funnily enough, is all recorded on Smooth Comp. Who knew? And also, worth noting is that Harry Gretsch, or Harry Kimura's profile picture is King Baldwin from the movie Kingdom of Heaven with Orlando Bloom. Awesome, legendary character. Fucking legend for fucking doing that, by the way. I wish YouTube wouldn't flag every single fucking thing. I want to fucking put right here the quote from King Baldwin, but I'll probably just put maybe like a meme screenshot type thing. You know what I'm saying? So that you all get a little taste. You go look up yourself. Okay, but back to Harry Kimura, back to the spotlight. He did great. He was looking a little bit heavy for the tournament. He wasn't looking as absolutely yoked and like jacked as he usually does. Nonetheless, he's a game fucking top heavy opponent. And I would have to watch that match again. I might maybe do a breakdown. But win or lose, he did a good job of representing catch wrestling, going out there, top of the food chain competition. There are catch wrestlers, and unfortunately we didn't take it home to this time, but it's worth noting and worth giving the spotlight, and thus why we put him in the catch wrestler spotlight. And people got to know that we got catch wrestlers out there doing their thing. Brett Pastore, Angel Verduzco, Shi Ming in the UFC, PCI Jiu-Jitsu, once again, another shout out. And that's pretty much it for this first segment. On to the next segment. If you want to be sponsored, or rather featured in the Catch Wrestling Spotlight, you got a match coming up. You've got a competition as a catch wrestler. It may not be a catch wrestling competition, but you're going to go out there at a high level. Send me a DM on Instagram, on Facebook, and I'll try to include it in the next month. So if you got something coming up so it's June, July, let me know, and I'll shout you out or for next month. Or if you did something that was an achievement worth noting and accomplished it in the month of June, once again, also hit me up. I can put clips up, you know what I mean? We can talk about it. We've got to spread the word on catch wrestling and let more eyes see it, you know, because it's not only a good alternative, it is the way that the meta is shaping. Takedowns, leg locks, you mean catch wrestling? So that all being said, on to the next segment. All right, back at it again for segment 2. For segment 2, we're talking about upcoming catch competitions. We got 3 in the chamber that are catch-centric. They're happening all over these next couple of months, all the way to August, and worth checking out, even if it's just to watch online. Let's start with Josh Barnett's ACW Spring Open. It's happening in August 10th. So this is giving you a little bit more time to go over there and register. For men to compete, it's $40. For women to compete, it's free. All you got to do is register. So bring your girlfriends, bring your wives, and let them take down everybody out there, because everybody getting taken down. We getting some catch wrestling in And Josh Barnett is a absolute legend. The ACWA Warbringers are the team that's going to represent America, that is the United States, at Snake Pit Wigan. There are a number of people that have qualified, won last year. So it's not all just ACWA, but these tournaments, I mean, I was going to say free for women, but these tournaments are not only a boon for catch wrestling enthusiasts and people who want to compete, like $40 for a competition. That is a fucking steal. And like, you're going to get multiple matches wrestling at this catch wrestling competition. So you're not just going to pay $40 all one match. So that being said, I highly recommend anybody in the world on earth that want to compete under Josh Barnett's banner, go to La Habra, California for the Spring Open of ACWA. Once again, August 10th. Check it out and bring it on. The next competition that I want to highlight is Wrestling Wars 9. The guy promoting this is Headhunter Higgins. Both Wrestling Wars and Headhunter Higgins are available to watch on Instagram. The actual Wrestling Wars competitions themselves, they've been live streamed and are available on Headhunter's YouTube. And this is happening June 28th. So, guys, and they're doing amazing stuff. They're going viral a lot. They've got tag teams. They got three-man tag teams, so it's like 3-on-3. They've got teams. I think they're trying to do a brother tag team gimmick tournament also, in addition to whatever they're doing for Wrestling Wars 9. You got to the end of the month. I plugged it last episode, but it's worth saying again because there's still time. If you're in camp, if you're training, if you feel up to it, hit up this guy. PCI Jiu-Jitsu shared this. Wrestling War said this. Headhunter Higgins, I believe Catch Wrestling Magazine. This competition is on its way up, and in no time, it's going to be an even bigger name than it is now among catch wrestlers. And I encourage, once again, everyone to check it out. Check out their old videos. And, maybe I can even do some reactions to these. Sound off in the comment if that's something you want to see. We can break down matches. We can break down their lives. We can even do a live stream, watch, react type of thing. Because I need to do more lives on this channel. So we could do something like that. I could do breakdowns. Whatever you guys think, sound off in the comments below. Future Arthur coming back in the edit to add this little segment. We've got another competition coming up this month in Texas. That is Houston, Texas, and that's the 2025 Texas No Holds Bar Catch as Catch Can Tournament. This was posted by Christopher Bubba Flores. He is the owner of Tex Catch Wrestling Club, and that's where it will be taking place. It's pin or submit, best out of three, so best 2 out of 3 falls. Divisions are by weight, and there's an absolute class for the first division, $50. For the second, it's $25, and it's on Saturday, June 21st. So it's coming up, fellas. Anybody that's in Texas that might be watching or in that area, feel free to go jump in, get a little catch wrestling in your life. You don't have to be a catch wrestler to do catch wrestling. You just have to know the rules and be game. Okay? So other grappling arts, I invite you to go try some catch wrestling. Maybe you'll become a catch wrestler too. Check it out. Obviously, this is on the screen, but you can contact Christopher Bubba Flores on Facebook, is where I notice him to be the most active, and you can follow up on more details there. So that is that. On to the other segment that I already recorded. Last but not least, I want to highlight this month, June 22nd, is the Snake Pit Wigan World Catch Wrestling Championships. We've had Owen Livesey compete there. Josh Barnett, the man. Headhunter Higgins, friend of the channel, Angel Verduzco, 2-time world champion there. Jonathan Powell whooped my ass in the tag team King of Catch wrestling tournament, and also the under 80 kilogram King of Catch champion at the moment, won $1,000 in his under 80 kilograms division, and won the $1,000 in the tag team division that he split with his partner. So just absolute beasts that are going over there. And there's more names that I'm not even listing. I don't even have time to listen. I don't know off the top of my head, but if I looked at it, I'd be like, oh, this guy, that guy. That all being said, the Snake Pit Wigan, where catch wrestling began, Wigan, though, you can argue, wrestling has been a human sport since the dawn of creation, Snake Pit Wigan is just the kind of like the spiritual mecca of catch wrestling today. It's where it began, and Angel Verduzco spoke very highly of how they produce that event and what it feels like to be competing there. Obviously, if Owen Livesey and Josh Barnett are competing at this banner, then they're doing something absolutely huge. Someone I want to do a catch wrestler spotlight, who I believe she lives in Lakeland or Ocala. She's the female Snake Pit world champion, and I think she might have won that 2 times in a row. I would love to go interview her. If anybody knows her, reach out to her. I'll have her up on here. I've been meaning to go and message her and ask, or message the gym and get an interview, get more catch wrestling interviews out there. And I hope that y'all will be able to see that in the future, and I pray that it will happen. Future Arthur here in the edit. Just as an addendum, I just want to clarify that I was talking a lot about the world championships at which Josh Barnett, Owen Livesey, Brianna Kellen all competed, which you can go and donate to the ACWA Warbringer team to send them in December to the world championships. But, okay, letting that, it's still on the screen. Go donate. Link in the description. But this month, June 2025, the competition that is happening is the British Championships. And I just want to highlight that, not that you can't go compete in the British Championships, but that this is the national competition in Snake Pit Wigan. And once again, watch out for this event. Watch out for the competitors. They're upcoming catch wrestlers, obviously, by competing under catch wrestling rules and carrying the catch wrestling banner. But also watch out for this event to drop on YouTube or wherever they're going to be live streaming it, because these are absolutely intense and exciting matches just because of the rule set. The rule set, quick note, is 1 second pin, like freestyle. So there is no stalling on bottom, staying flat on your back. You do not have time for that. Okay. And a lot of chokes, you in my experience, for instance, you go flat on your back or get your back to the mat to stop the choke. And that 1 second is a pin. So, that being said, like, you could be in a submission, you can be in guard, and if you're on your back for 1 second, that's a pin. So it's no joke. It's no joke. But that's what I wanted to add back to past Arthur. But in summation, the Snake Pit Wigan World Championship, June 22nd, that's this month, only a couple weeks away, is going to happen. And if you want to tune in, if you want to compete, these type of things, keep an eye out for. Let me know. Go check out Snake Pit Wigan on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. They've got pages on all of them that they're very active on, and you can follow up on this information. And as I was alluding to a moment ago, if you see more catch wrestling competitions, if you're hosting one, if a whole bunch of catch wrestlers are going to be competing at a competition, let us know. We could talk about upcoming catch competitions here in this segment. But with that, that's the end of this segment. Moving on to the next. All right, we're at segment 3, general wrestling news. And there's actually been a bit of news coming out these last couple months that I want to cover. I didn't really get to cover it in the episode before this one for the month of April, but now that we're in the month of May, there's more information that is coming out about this new promotion, Real American Freestyle. Now, this is not a work, this is not pro wrestling, this is actual unscripted freestyle wrestling, highest levels, and they're trying to push that and promote that. But that being said, I explained it that way for this reason, because Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff are the ones behind it. They're producing it. They're the ones promoting this thing right now. And there is a lot of differing opinions on Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. Hulk Hogan has become a very polarizing figure in the last couple of years. And I think for me, it's because he's lying. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you did this, you did that. You know what I mean? People are allowed to make mistakes. People are allowed to have private conversations. People are allowed to think whatever the fuck they want to think. But when you start lying and you're revealed to be a fucking liar that buries other people, lies about other people, manipulates other people, you lose a lot of respect, you lose a lot of credit, and unfortunately that's exactly what Hulk Hogan has been revealed to have done. But that aside, I mean, say your prayers, take your vitamins, wrestle. I'm totally down with that. I'm totally down with the icon that is Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania. I understand. But he's become a polarizing figure. Eric Bischoff has always been a polarizing figure. Some people love the stuff he's done. Some people hate it. I believe he did some like karate back in the day. I think he was like obsessed with that type of stuff, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to put that into WCW and later WWE, formerly known as WWF. He's a cool guy too. I think he's done a lot. And he's not really been revealed to me from what I've watched, which I am a nerd and spent a lot of time on YouTube, hence becoming a YouTube creator. I haven't seen him being called out for being a liar. I mean, people disagreeing with him type of thing. And, oh, why did he go this way? Yeah, you should go. I think that the idea of having a freestyle competition that's pushed by people that are renowned, that could get like a really good, like momentum for wrestling in the general culture is a good thing. They've signed a lot of high quality talent. Kyle Dake, Kyle Snyder. I did a video on him recently. We're going to talk about him in a second again. Kennedy Blades. I could go on and on and on. If you just go to Real American Freestyle, you can definitely check out their roster of signees. They've got all these Olympic champions, national champions, All-American, Big Ten champion. It should be exciting. Here's the thing. While I love all forms of wrestling, I watch freestyle wrestling to learn other moves and styles and to see people scrap. Limiting it to just freestyle, in my opinion, may be a little bit boring. Like, yeah, I like takedowns, but what about when people are on the ground? Is it really fun to watch somebody just go like this flat on the mat and like and fight the gut wrench? Like, why not try to stand up? Why not try to face them? Why not a little bit of that ground scrambling? I think, on the world stage, it's freestyle wrestling and Olympic wrestling, but let's not forget our folk style roots. Let's not forget mat wrestling. Thank God it's not just Greco-Roman. But I wouldn't mind seeing Greco-Roman matches. I wouldn't mind seeing wrestlers call each other out but in this rule set, I wouldn't mind seeing submission wrestling, catch wrestling matches in these events. Are they going to do it in a ring? Are they going to do it in a pit? Are they going to do it in a pit? More on that later. The pit. Are they going to do it in a cage? How is this all like unfolding? Not a lot of information has really come out. I don't know how it will all work. I would put it in a pit, maybe on a mat, because that's what they're used to. But and then you have push outs and stuff like that. Obviously, you need to have a circle mat. You know what I mean? So probably not a cage or a pit. But who knows? Who knows what they're doing? I don't know where they're going creatively, but I hope that there's some wiggle room to do some type of call. Well, why don't we do it in a cage at this such and such or blah blah? Or in a pit or why don't we do it in folk style? First best of 3 falls, best of 5 falls for champions. And that could be cool. But they might go straight up freestyle rule set, which it's like a number of rounds, it's a number of matches, best of whatever. But and that could help people understand freestyle more. So I don't think they should abandon freestyle wrestling. I just think that they should have some variety. Not let it really be freestyle. Let's really freestyle it. What about one event? It's beach wrestling. You know what I mean? Grow some beach wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but who am I? I'm just throwing some ideas out there. Just throwing some interesting information for you guys to know. If you guys didn't know about it, the whole Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff teaming up to do like legitimate wrestling promotion was actually pretty exciting for me. The hype, now that I'm not, I just read it, I'm just worried about the actual long-term validity of just doing freestyle. You know what I mean? And it could be. Let's see where it goes. I don't want to just doubt like all these absolute beasts at the sport being able to draw crowds and do their thing. So I personally, I'm just like, I can't just watch all just freestyle. You know what I mean? At least when there's a team, there's some kind of like drama on the line. But if we're going full individuals, are they going to go to? All right, I'm ranting the longest about this one segment. I'll leave it there. What are your thoughts on Real American Freestyle? Do you think that's a good idea? What do you think of Hulk Hogan? What do you think of Eric Bischoff? Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. What do you think they should do? What kind of wrestling style would you want to see the most on a more public promoted level? Folk style, freestyle, Greco-Roman, obviously submission wrestling, catch wrestling, or beach wrestling. Let us know. Let me know. We'll discuss it in the comments. But with that being said, on to the next segment. Oh wait, no. On to the next story. What am I fucking talking about? So, the next story that I want to cover just quickly is Final X. Final X is happening this month. It's actually taking place this Saturday, June 14th. And the Final X bracket came out, like the match order, what's going to happen. And lo and behold, our boy Kyle Snyder, who I previously mentioned in the last story, is still competing. And I'm happy to hear it. If you all don't know, he got caught up in some BS, that became public. Try to ruin this man's reputation, of course, with like a ridiculous sting operation. He's still out there. He's going to be competing. I'm glad to hear it. He is still in his prime of wrestling. He shouldn't have to lose that now that he's in his prime. You only have a certain amount of years, and all these fighters and different competitors, boxers, Olympians, they do one thing wrong in their life, like people don't make fucking mistakes, and they have their careers ruined, many times for arbitrary, not even true things, like that pitcher for, I believe it was the Dodgers, who got accused not once but twice falsely, with evidence coming out showing and proving that it was false allegations, and that these women were actually seeking to victimize him. So watch out there, fellas. Doesn't matter if you think that you're the shit or not the shit. There's something that can be taken from you. Don't forget it. So protect yourself with NordVPN. No, I'm just joking. It wouldn't be great if I had a sponsor. What a fucking segue that would have been. There's obviously a number of matches that are going to be on there. Kyle Snyder's one of many. Kennedy Blades is also competing, and there is a number of matches that are, it's worth it's Kyle Dakes would be there. It's worth promoting, putting money and promoting enough that it came in my algorithm, other people's algorithm. It's happening this Saturday. It's on Flow, if I'm not mistaken. Final X is a Flow grappling thing. So if you want to check it out, you're going to need Flow grappling or a friend with Flow. I'll see if afterward I can watch those matches and maybe talk about them a little bit. I don't personally have Flow grappling, but we have Flow grappling at the gym. So holler to Flow grappling. We can watch that, discuss it there. But yeah, for the thing I really want to highlight is I'm just glad that Kyle Snyder hasn't had this opportunity taken from him, and still gets to compete. And that's what I wanted. I talked about it in my previous video on Kyle Snyder and that whole debacle. And I just once again want to prayers up to him and his family. Hope everything's working out for them, and I just want to applaud his bravery and his strength and his willingness to just keep moving forward and do his thing, which is wrestling. So with that, we're going to go to one more story. All right. Last story of the general wrestling news, which I'll probably end up making its own video. Cut this from the segment and make it its own video, because I think it's really going to be trending now. And that's this. The pit is the future of grappling. In this segment, I'm going to be talking about the UFC's new grappling show. I'm going to be talking about the platform on which they're performing. And then I'm going to finish off with a quick synopsis of the story of William Tackett versus Craig Jones and CJI 2. So let's go. Starting off with the new UFC show, I believe Mike Musumeci is one of the coaches. Like I said, man, this guy, I don't like this guy. But if he can help other grapplers, if he can help them be better, if he can give them a platform, and as a personality move grappling forward, I'm not going to hate on that. I just don't like some of the things he does and says. And I think we're all allowed to have our own opinion here. So this show was put together. I guess it's been a couple months in the making. And they've got a whole bunch of grappling stars to compete. And you have the Tackett brothers. I believe it's not William Tackett, but his brother, who's going to or has competed on the show. And the platform on which they compete, lo and behold, is a pit. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, guys. It's called the Bowl. It's more like the pit, but it's more smooth. Am I even allowed to compare the two, or is there going to be some kind of UFC stop and desist? I'm just saying, UFC. I'm gonna watch your fucking matches. I'm gonna watch your YouTube show. It's gonna be on YouTube. But that bowl that they're using looks mighty familiar to what one might call the pit. And I know that the Karate Combat and UFC, they are working together. They have exchanged talent, and they've also done some. I don't want to say co-promoting, but I know that there's been talks about using the up only gaming system that the Karate Combat app uses. I know there's been the allowing of like active UFC fighters to compete, you know what I mean, and vice versa. The CACC fighters going to UFC. So these are all good things. So them using the bowl and not using the trademarked pit is a strange choice. Now they have their own thing that they're going to trademark. Okay, fine. You know, do your thing. That's okay. But I think that in itself, that you have a curved wall, pool-like platform to compete in, is just another step toward it being the future of grappling. This is the platform that doesn't allow push-outs. There's no fucking need for resets. It's not you don't want to be near the edges because you can't stall up against the wall. You can't say standing up against the wall because it's slanted or curved, however this you would try to describe the bowl. If you get toward the edges, you are taken down. You will fall over. So it pushes the pace of the match. It pushes them to go at it in the middle as opposed to lulling toward the edge. But at the same time, conversely, it allows more mobility around the sides where you can cut corners. It's less hard to be like cut off in a ring because you have this slanted wall that you can run across. So, but you know, when you're grappling, you're trying to get into one another, grab one another, and then put to the ground and finish the match. So not a lot of that has been used, but there's been interesting ways that people have been using the elevation of that elevated slanted wall, where Craig Jones did a flying triangle. There was two flying triangles of note, and they'll be on the screen here, and they were able to have been executed the way they were because of that elevated slanted wall. There's a lot of things that allow the pit to be a superior viewing experience for spectators, where it's a pit downward, yes, but now instead of being like eye level and looking at basically nothing, unless you're pit side, you could just chill on the side and see everything inside, or bull side, I guess, in this particular scenario. The spectators are put on stands that are elevated upward, also at a slant, like you could say like bleachers basically. But in Karate Combat, there's no place to sit. It's all standing room, which gives more room to chill. It's like a very like party, chill, watch this fight, you know what I mean, kind of atmosphere. That allows you to look down and in to the pit, which is way better than, you know, the cage, which can be such a pain to see depending on where you're sitting or where the fighting is taking place. Is it on the other side, and the pillar that I'm sitting in front of is just like, or they're on that pillar right there, where the cages connect, or you know, sometimes where they are against the cage. It just becomes sometimes a pain in the ass. Same thing with the ring. The elevated platform, I've discussed, like, some people play the edge so that they don't get pushed out, or you know, force the player that's center of the platform to play more conservatively. It should force you more actions in the middle, but it just ends up making people more cautious and not willing to use explosiveness. And that's why sometimes you see more explosive athletes in those competitions surprising their athletes and winning or taking a dominant position because of that awkward risen platform in the back of your head, I might fall off and I get hurt type shit, you know? So that doesn't happen in the bowl or the pit. So this is going to be the future, in my opinion. There's not going to be all these resets that you see at Naga and Grappling Industries and ADCC and, oh, are they going to reset them? Or they're not going to reset them now, or they're just going to let them go and scrap for a while. It's like, you know, it is what it is. You know, having a mat, you know, it has its pros and cons. Everything has its pros and cons, but this is slowly becoming the future of grappling with trendsetters like Karate Combat, CJI, and now the UFC. Now, last part of this story is the whole problem between William Tackett and Craig Jones. It's not like that's anything personal from what I understand, but William Tackett is not competing in this next CJI 2. If you don't know who William Tackett is, he's one of the lauded competitors of the first CJI, of the absolutely stacked under 80 kilograms, first athlete to ditch ADCC last year and go over to CJI to compete for the $1 million. His brother also competed in the over 80 kilograms. They both lost, but they both had absolutely fantastic matches. And the matches that happened in the under 80 were absolute fireworks. The reason why I want to bring up Will here is he's a really wrestling-based athlete. Now, I don't know his credentials on wrestling, but his wrestling is pretty good, and it ended up being like very wrestling heavy in his matches. Unfortunately, he didn't take the $1 million, but we did see another catch wrestler, Cade Rotullo, take that take that mill, training under Eric Paulson as well as Andre Galvao. And his whole thing is that he doesn't really have a team to compete in CJI 2. CJI 2 being a team-based competition, basing itself on the quintet style of competition, which was, once again, as I always like to shout them out, created by Josh Barnett and Sakuraba, 2 catch wrestlers. So that's a catch wrestling competition. You're welcome. So they're doing a catch style competition. I should just say that in quintet. And see, William doesn't have a team. He can be sort of associated with Checkmat, but he's not going to really be on a team. And he felt that like he wasn't going to have like a really good chance to win that $1 million that now he has to split between the teammates. Conversely, he has the opportunity to compete several times in a year, guaranteed pay, in this UFC promotion, and he's going to be able to compete multiple times, and he just felt like it was better a financial situation for him. Now, Craig Jones, on the other hand, has been basically trashing grappling competitors that are going full exclusive contract for whatever promoter. And I understand the reason why a promoter would have someone be exclusive, but I also understand Craig Jones's point. If you look at, I'm going into my hip hop. Wu-Tang Clan refused to have an exclusive contract with their 9 members. It has to be non-exclusive. And then all 9 members ended up having solo albums, but at various different other labels and publishers. And that non-exclusive contract absolutely benefited them. And they got the best pay they could have gotten, the best production they could have gotten, because they caused the various record labels and, overarching labels and industry reps to compete over them to publish their albums. So, one might be from Def Jam, but the other ones might be from Interscope, and another one might be, that allows them to be artists, because that's what they are as hip-hop MCs. Now we look at fighters, we don't look at them as artists. We look at them, oh, we just got to sign them. They got to, make them fight, little gladiators. But they're artists too, and they're honing their craft, and they should be able to make the people that are paying them compete if we're going to be in a capitalist society. But, like I was saying, I understand the other side. This is your product. You need to protect your product. You need to protect your company image. You need to make sure that your competitors are going to be safe and available to compete on your cards that you're promoting and trying to make money off of. So I see both sides, and there's a lot of tension. But William Tackett dropped an excellent video. I thought it was really disarming, making sure it was very also like diplomatic. He's not shitting on anyone. I think everything he said was logical. He's like, oh, Craig Jones is kind of shitting on UFC, so I don't really want to go over there and bite the hand that's feeding me right now and make them look bad. But at the same time, he does enjoy CJI. He pushed people to buy tickets. He likes where it's going, and if they did another singles tournament, he would definitely enter. So I think all's well that ends well with the whole William Tackett versus Craig Jones. But I think all those strings, CJI, William Tackett, him saying, oh, I can't wait to compete in this UFC competition because of their UFC Bull trademark, copyright, and I think that is all tying back to Karate Combat and the pit and how good of a stage it is to compete, but also like spectate. And so there are some videos out there that I'll put up on screen that really talk about this in depth, and I think have really great points that I touched on lightly here, and you should go check them out. But with that being said, I think that is the end of that story. If you have something to say about the pit, something to say about the Bull, what do you think about it as a platform for competition? What do you think about the new UFC competition show that they're doing? I think it's cool that they're making it available on YouTube for free. This is, once again, that is going to be the model of shows, competitions, you know what I mean? Even like pay-per-views, they're not going to do that anymore. They're going to do live streams, and it's going to be on platforms like YouTube, Kick, blah, 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 where they're going to let people see this for free, at least the first time, you know what I'm saying? Or have it available in perpetuity for free, because that only just encourages more people to watch. Go back and watch it. Go back and watch it for free. Show other people. Send this to you. It's free. You don't even have to go buy this or go blah, blah, blah. I'll just send you the link to your phone. You can watch it while you're in a train ride, while you're home, while you're in the toilet. So, what's stopping you from watching this? So that's also just one note I wanted to add there as an addendum before I end this segment is, guys, moving forward, this is how it's going to be. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on an online platform streaming free. And then it's going to be the sponsors, the ticket sales, the various ads that you run that's going to be making the money moving forward. And maybe even crypto, you know what I mean? Like some kind of crypto foundation that people can invest in to help be basically stakeholders in your promotion company, whatever. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, even Wrestling Wars 9 has been streaming them for free, and they're getting so many views because it's free, it's available. I don't have to go, I've never heard this thing before. I mean, I heard it was good maybe from like a friend, but I don't have to go on like Triller or Fight Pass and buy a ball. Now I gotta buy Pass and I gotta pay the, it's free on YouTube, available to watch whenever you want. Once again, plug out to Headhunter Higgins and Wrestling Wars. What are your thoughts? Are you going to watch the show? What do you think about the Bull? You know what I mean? Is that just a blatant ripoff of the pit? And you know what I mean? Allegedly. And is that, okay? Like, are you all right with it? Or should, CACC, Karate Combat, and CGI get some credit? And Last but not least, who do you think is right about the whole like exclusive contract? Should he not be exclusive? He's looking out for himself, so I support William Tackett. You got to look out for yourself. You know what I mean? No one else is going to. You got to make your money. It's consistent. It makes sense. He made a really rational argument. But who's right about the exclusive contracts? Like, just because he did what was right for him, is that right for the sport? Should we be fighting for non-exclusive contracts, being able to spread the sport? Sound off in the comments below. So with that, now is the Eggman, the end of the segment. And we're moving on to our final little segments here. We've got Creator Spotlight up next. Okay, guys. Segment number 4. Creator Spotlight. So this segment is replacing the, I'm not going to have the exact same segments every episode. So last month I talked about karate combat in the segment. This month we're going to do a creator spotlight where I'm going to highlight specific YouTube content creators, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc., that are discussing catch wrestling, and just highlight it so that people can go watch them, go learn more about catch wrestling, go see the connections that other content creators are making for the viewers so that they can have those connections in their mind. I know I say that a lot, but I think that a lot of knowledge and a lot of learning is not only just learning this thing exists, you know what I mean, but learning that thing A and other thing that you already know, thing B, are connected in some way, whether it's connected directly or indirectly via another thing C, okay? So many times in jiu-jitsu, there's positions where we find ourselves, or things we're doing, or series that we're doing, or attacks and follow-up attacks, or things that we're learning that have already been learned by someone else, and it's been codified and systemized. And just by giving it a name, or having a name for that thing in your mind to register, it becomes easier to discuss and then dissect and break down. It's not, it's that weird position I keep getting to. It's, wrestlers call that the crackdown. It's that position that I keep getting up to when I'm in bottom half and I have a underhook and I get to my knees. We call that dogfight here at 10th Planet. And now everybody calls it dogfight, That is how learning sometimes needs to happen, to have a more holistic view of what you know, the things that you know may not even connect in your own brain, and you've learned not a new thing, but how two things connect. With that being said, the first creator that I want to highlight is a gentleman by the name of Wrestling with the Narrative. He's a wrestling, grappling breakdown channel here on YouTube. I was just watching his breakdown of why did Tony Ferguson's grappling work? And at 7 minutes 12 seconds, he says this.
Finally, he rocks Rio, who shoots and ends up in a darce. To those who don't understand, a darce or screw choke in Catch-a-Sketch can terms is similar in concept to an arm triangle or headed arm choke, compressing one artery with your arm and the other with the opponent's own shoulder.
So, that idea of the darce or screw choke from catch wrestling is an interesting connection. First off, that idea of wrestlers have been doing this choke for a long time, and obviously there's the Bravo choke in the gi, but when you remove the gi, this is the darce or the screw choke, as he highlights. And it's an interesting note that wrestlers find a way to, or end up doing the same things, because they find themselves in the same positions because of how human mechanics work and where you end up being is going to be similar, obviously, and that opens people up to certain things. And in this case, when you sprawl, when you end up in that head and arm, or even in like a turtle type position, you can throw that Darson. I mean, you can throw it from bottom, you can throw it from a lot of places, but wrestlers tend to want to stay on top, and because of that, this top heavy sprawl on top, arm triangle, another way to put it, just another direction that they're doing the arm triangle, is available. And modern wrestlers and modern grapplers aren't the first to see it. You are standing on the shoulders of giants. You're rediscovering the things that other people have discovered that probably they didn't discover themselves. And like, this is a long time in the making, guys. All right, grappling didn't just come into being in the 90s. All right, it did come into being in the 80s when it was in Japan doing like shoot fighting and shuto. No, it is going back even further. It's not just like old Brazil or old catch wrestling or old rules of Brompton boxing that had like takedowns and boxing and kicking. This is going back since time immemorial. So remember that. But this guy's video is very well edited, clean cut. I think he's definitely paying homage to Jack Slack, and he says so in one of his other videos that I would definitely like to recommend. Is a video on the TK guard, which is the infamous TK. I don't want to ruin his name. TK, the guy that beat Fedor, beat him via cut in the promotion of rings in Japan back in the day. It was a tournament. It was a big cut. Even if he went on to the next fight, it would just open up again. And it was in Japan at that time, like blood wasn't a thing that they want to be putting in their sport, which is way different from what they were doing in Pride, and way different from what Tony Ferguson was doing in his career. Man, he was bloodied a couple times. He also, that is wrestling with the narrative, also makes some connections to Suzuki and like the Suzuki ride, which is like you're riding high on the turtle and you try to scoop one of the arms with your leg. And you're like, oh man, they call this the Suzuki ride? I didn't even know this thing had a name. And that being said, it's like right there. He talks about Karl Gotch, and he makes a lot of connections to catch wrestling, which I think is friggin' awesome. And I need to find out what this guy's pedigree is and talk to him maybe at some point. Very cool. Worth a watch. He's got a ton of videos. He's just starting to really hit his pace and catch steam on the algorithm on YouTube. So if you want to give him a view, and tell him that I sent you, Arthur Fantastic sent you at Catch Digest, I think you will enjoy it. So on to the next spotlight. Man, just the algorithm is just getting me so well this last month. There was an episode of the Grappler's Dilemma podcast, and it was an episode entitled From Catch Wrestling to Jitsu with Big Nate. Now, this video is an hour long, but it's an interview with this guy that did catch wrestling, and then he moved to jiu-jitsu. And he said some awesome things about catch wrestling. He said some very interesting things. One of the interesting points that I thought he made was on the methodology of catch wrestling in his practice versus the jiu-jitsu that he later practiced. And he said that early on in his catch wrestling / grappling career, when he was learning catch wrestling, he was more about, going for, submissions over position. And that later on, when he went to jiu-jitsu, it became I need to get in position first and then submit. I think that's an interesting point. I think he himself pretty much explained that away better when he said, well, maybe I became older and my strategic approach became different. And that could be to explain over, okay, this is catch wrestling, this is jiu-jitsu, because in my opinion, and I really think also it's down to the not only the individual but their coach and their gym culture and what they're doing. I used to wrestle all the time in high school. I wrestled, and then I went into jiu-jitsu and MMA for many years. And the only time I would get to wrestle was in MMA, and it was just wrestling. I never got a chance to just wrestle anymore. And now that I'm older and I'm trying to I want to wrestle. I'm I got some knee problems, but I'm focusing on making sure that my body's mobile and strong in all the right places: ankles, toes, knees, back, hips, wrists, fingers, shoulder mobility, all these things. I think those things are really important to me to be confident about it, but that lack of practice has been taking a lot more time to dust the dust off of, if you will, than I would like. I want to be able to wrestle more, and the gym that I am at, CSA, we wrestle every class. They encourage you to start standing, because that's where a real fight's going to start. But they also, like, if you want to start positionally, if you're working on something, obviously that's cool too. But they definitely recommend start standing, and I really appreciate that. My point there is that the whole idea of what you do as a wrestler is very much affected, or as a grappler is very much affected by your gym culture. If your gym's like, super packed all the time, you have to fucking start in guard or small, or, just a lot of jiu-jitsu guys just want you to start on the ground from knees or from passing guard or something like that, one up, one down. You won't get better at wrestling. And if you don't wrestle, your ability degrades. If you don't work out, your body just doesn't stay strong. It degrades. You have to upkeep it. And every skill is like that. And unfortunately, I have degraded, but I'm trying to build that. But this guy, he's discussing how, maybe, in my opinion, we want to win when we're young, when we're starting out, when I want to beat the blue belt, I want to beat, but as you get older, it becomes more about learning. And as you learn, you're like, no, it would have been better if I just cooked them on top for a little bit longer. I didn't cook them long enough. You know what I mean? You start criticizing your decisions to go for random, low percentage, submissions that put you out of position. But generally speaking, I've noticed that it's the opposite of what he says. I feel that in my catch wrestling training, whether it be seminars or I've made I have sojourned to another part of America to go train with a catch wrestler, or even now, I'm at a catch wrestling school. It's way different than how I've ever viewed grappling when I'm at a BJJ inspired or based gym. For the most part, there are definitely exceptions, and it's usually because the teacher is also a wrestler, MMA fighter, or a judoka. Every other one, if they're just pure BJJ, or pure 10th Planet, very few times will they have stand up, or maybe they feel less confident there. They don't, or they feel like people are more likely to get hurt there because of their inexperience in wrestling. And you get hurt doing jiu-jitsu on the ground, just getting tweaked and stuff. So why would it be different standing up? I digress. the idea of being in a top position has been drilled in me by every catch wrestler. Stay on top. Do not go on bottom. You know what I mean? I've always been inspired by people like Kazushi Sakuraba that kind of played around and went to the bottom position just to come back on the top position and stuff like that. Trickster type shit. But as a meta, as a holistic approach, catch wrestling wants to be pinning the other person, be on top of the other person, making the other person bear their weight, cook them. You know, that's a more modern use of that term. So maybe they say put the pressure on him. You know what I mean? Tire him out. You know what I mean? That has always been a part of every really style of wrestling that has any kind of mat wrestling. You know, get down on top of him, even like freestyle or Greco. You want to be on top of him. You know, so the idea that his catch wrestling would put him out of position and then put him on bottom. As he kind of mentions, I think I have probably clipped that in before here. I think that is more of an individual, personal choice that he made, that he grew out of as his grappling journey went on. And, you know, maybe things changed a little bit more with his coach and teacher at that new school that he was discussing in that interview. But, you know, that's it. I think that's an interesting discussion to have. I think we should get in the comments to discuss that. I know there's people that call themselves like the hookers or rippers, and they're, you know, they'll do certain moves that more explosively, you know, not give them time to tap. But, you know, you don't want to do that in practice, and I don't think anybody like that really does. But it's more of a carny, old catch as can style. You know, you're in a match for money, and this is your, not only your what you're doing for a living. This guy might hurt you. He's looking to hurt you. That this money is enough to be a problem. And, you know, and if you play around, you can get hurt. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, you can still put things on fast and explosively, but still be with some level of control, not just breaking everybody's legs and arms. That sometimes, you know, these carny wrestling all-comers at carnivals kind of might have done sometimes. Not all of them, not a big majority of them, but some of them. You know what I mean? You know, and sometimes you end up breaking a lot of people's legs, not meaning to also. So that's just a thing. And, you know, we need to learn from the past. We can't forget these things. It's very interesting. This podcast episode about catch wrestling jiu-jitsu is interesting. If you want to check that out, I'll have that description in below. Onto the last spotlight for the Creator Spotlight. So for the last story in the Creator Spotlight that I kind of teased earlier in the episode, for people that really want like an introduction to modern catch can wrestling and the modern history, as well as some of the old history, and a long list of absolutely legendary names, then I would recommend For the Love of Catch. It's a documentary. It's available on YouTube, Tubi, Zumo, Freevee, and Amazon Prime. All for free, guys. So this is made and produced, I believe, by Jeff Curran Jacobs. And he was former heavyweight champion. He won it at the Billy Robinson Classic, and I believe that was 2018. At the first heavyweight unified championship in 100 years. It features catch wrestlers like Randy Couture, Josh Barnett, friend of the show, Kenny Gorilla Blanco Lester makes his appearance. He's our personal Orlando Fat Ric Flair. That dude is a fucking beast. Got a cowboy hat. He also competed in the heavyweight tournament that was the first to happen in 100 years. Legend. And I think the other names don't need any introduction. Josh Barnett, Randy Couture. We should know who these guys are. Just need to, you know, just call out and shout out my boy Kenny Lester. Gorilla Blanco, baby. And just so many other catch wrestlers are in that movie that will introduce you immediately to the names that you need to know of, people you can go train with, people you should know about, and give you a good idea of what's going on, and how we got to where we are, and talk about legendary names. So that being said, check that out. Once again, it's free on YouTube, Tubi, Zumo, Freevee, and Amazon Prime for free. And with that, guys, I know that's a short plug, guys. I'm just giving you the short plug so you can go, not waste your time, go watch it. And with that, guys, that's the end of this segment. On to the last segment, where we're going to talk about seminars and closing thoughts. I'll see you on the other side. All right. For the seminars this month, we don't got a lot that are specifically catch. We don't have a lot of catch wrestling seminars that are coming up that I can tell you about, that I've found, like, going through the catch wrestling pages that I follow, or groups that I follow on Facebook. So I'm just going to talk about some of the things I've already talked about. We've got Eddie Bravo coming in August to 10th Planet St. Pete in Tampa. Totally awesome. August 16th, once again. Current price is $100. I think that there's a lot of actually wrestling / catch wrestling concepts in 10th Planet, and that's why I think some wrestlers find it very compatible with their style, especially like lanky, flexible dudes, you know what I mean? But it also, anybody can use a lockdown, anybody can use that dogfight position, anybody can use the system of 10th Planet, you know, anybody can like use a modified rubber guard. That's what I use. Like I said, I have knee problems, but I can modify it for it to work, and it's still a clamp, it still brings them down, it's still a clinch. And I think not only knowing these things, broadening your horizons, understanding more of what you're capable of doing is just one of the benefits. Understanding what that system is capable of and their approach to it, understanding inside the mind of who you're going to get is invaluable. And so it's worth checking out, even if you can't go to Eddie Bravo, his school, or his seminar coming up in August. You can always go check out your local 10th Planet, and that we have catch wrestlers that are 10th Planet black belts, like Jesse, who was at CatchCon 2025 in Las Vegas, and I believe that there's other 10th Planet dudes that are among us. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a 10th Planet dude, but I mean, I do have a membership to the 10th Planet online, but I don't get to use it as much as I want to. But maybe I am. I mean, I use the lockdown. I used the mission control. I used crackhead control. I use the lockdown. I say that. Well, I'm going to have to say it again. And I use some of their stuff. So maybe I am part of 10th Planet dude. And I'm definitely a catch wrestler. So as a catch wrestler, high school wrestler, grappler, definitely recommend checking out their stuff if you have it. If you don't know what the lockdown is and you get put in a lockdown, you're fucked. Get your shit together and learn some of that shit. There's a lot. Literally, the twister is the wrestler's guillotine, guys. It's a wrestling move, and it's modified for a jiu-jitsu / grappling competition environment. You know, where there are multiple ways to get to it, and if that's your move, like that's your move. Like that was my move for a while. You know, I was very obsessed with it. And every once in a while, I will go for it on my back attacks, but it is an option that you need to develop. It's something that, is available, and, it's wrestling. You might just call it leg wrestling. You know what I mean? You might call mission control a leg Nelson and shit like that. So this type of stuff is not that far off from catch wrestling. If you look at all manuals, I believe Jesse and Jake Sannon were saying something like, catch wrestlers did things like this. So, and even Neil Melanson has an interesting like collar grip Thai trap system that is not like the mission control or anything like that, but you could call it a proto or in the same vein, you know what I mean, type of system. And it's worth checking out as well. Neil Mellison, catch wrestler, trained under Billy Robinson, trained with and was the head of the grappling program at I think it was Shreem Couture, and was it Black Zillions as well? I'm not sure, but he's been around. He's trained a lot of dudes. Total beast. Check out his material too. The next seminar that I want to talk about is Demetrius Johnson. It's happening this Saturday. Once again, guys, if you can reach out to Demetrius Johnson, a catch wrestler, to help me get an interview with this guy. It's happening in Winter Garden, Atos Winter Garden, and it's their grand opening. They're doing a seminar. Bibiano Fernandez, former world champion, is also going to be there too. And we lost the light. And it's going to be worth a lot to the catch wrestling community if we can get Demetrius Johnson talking about catch wrestling, which is where he comes from over at AMC. I'll even cut in a quick clip here of Josh Barnett talking about AMC and talking about training at AMC with Matt Hume.
But yeah, no, Matt came from the shoot wrestling, catch wrestling. I mean, that's where we got all of our leg lock stuff. That's where, you know, I was learning front face locks. I mean, a whole bunch of submission stuff I taught today, and a bunch I'm going to teach tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I got that. This all came from Matt, and then me being an autodidact myself, and then Eric, through Eric Paulson, through watching his videos, and then training under him, and you know, Billy and Carl and Inoki and everything that has gone into me. But catch is the backbone of all these wrestlers, all these athletes.
Yes,
that's where they got it from. So yes, Matt Hume is a catch wrestler.
Yes. Well, there you have it. On record, guys. People arguing me under these videos saying, "Oh, Matt Hughes, none of these people are catch wrestlers." They're catch wrestlers.
Well, that's okay. You know, someone tried to say like, "Oh, well, Josh Barnett's not a pure catch wrestler, pure because you know, Eric Paulson has a BJJ black belt and Josh Barnett's got a BJJ black belt." It's like, oh, okay.
Literally, I think the same person said something like that. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's like, well, okay, well, grappling is grappling, but the way I approach the game and the types of subs that I use and the way, like, I am a catch guy, and the funny thing is, I had never trained a day in BJJ until Eric wanted me to test for my belt. So, needless to say, I need to get some type of link. Praying, help us to get this interview and talk about catch wrestling. You know, how we have descended from catch wrestlers. Such an interesting storyline to go into and explore. So guys, help me out on that. You know what I mean? I'll hopefully have this video up for more than a day before Saturday, but who knows? It takes time to edit these videos, put all these little things here. So that's Demetrius Johnson. The last one I want to talk about and just call back to, I know that PCI Jiu-Jitsu asked me to post their seminar that they were doing on June 7th. This is like almost a week later. Unfortunately, I didn't get that out in time, so I'm going to shout out their fall camp for 2025. It's catch wrestling 2-day camp with like Snake Pit Japan, Yuko Miyato, and Snake Pit USA, Joel Bain, and they're going to be doing that at the PCI Jiu-Jitsu place of training in Mission Viejo, California. It's October 10th and 11th. Go check out PCI Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram for more information. Future Arthur here again in the edit. We've got another seminar that I found while doing my searching for images and videos for the video. So we've got Headhunter Higgins doing a grappling seminar June 22nd in Bellingham, Massachusetts, and it's going to be MMA, BJJ, catch, and Irish collar wrestling. Definitely check them out if you're up there in New England, tri-state area. If that is something you're close to and you're willing to make the drive for, we've got a legitimate catch wrestler, 2-time world catch wrestling champion in Headhunter Higgins. He's also got a second seminar coming up in August 23rd, which will be in Anderson, South Carolina, at Henzo Gracie, South Carolina. So, guys, once again, if you're in the area of South Carolina at that time, or you're willing to go travel, he may be a 3-time world champion at that. You know what I mean? Knock on wood or what? I don't knock on wood. What the fuck am I talking about? You know what I mean? This guy's good. He may be a 3-time world champion by that time, and worth pursuing some instruction from. Once again, August 23rd, June 22nd are the 2 seminars. The one here in June is going to be in Massachusetts, and the one in August is going to be South Carolina. So keep your head up. Save the dates of all these seminars, and I'll let the Arthur of old continue his video. All right, give me a moment to collect my final thoughts, and we will close this sumbitch out. I hope that episode was good for y'all. My throat's been hurting after training yesterday because we were actually doing a modified version of the Wade Chalice choke. The Wade Chalice choke, you go under the neck and go like this. And I'll have a clip from my gym playing here that I help edit. That was the modified version where you go under the neck and you pull the arm. You'll see it right here. Wade Chalice goes like this. My coach and I also do not have that wrist mobility, so I go here the other direction and pull the elbow. And man, that comes on fast, guys. Do try this at your gym. Do try this under for people who don't train under supervised expert supervision. But for you guys that have gyms and train at the gym, do try this. Make sure to respect the tap and not kill anyone. But it comes on fast and you'll feel it right here. And just as a follow-up, if people are pulling, if you get that choke in deep, you put this on their shoulder, you pull their tricep, and they really fighting that tricep, because that's where that choke really starts to come on when you pull that tricep. Let go, and they're pulling, let go of it, and then high elbow or push across. That's what my coach Terry taught me, these options. Awesome details. Come train at CSA Orlando if you're in the area and learn from a catch wrestler. The whole reason why I wanted to bring that up is, y'all remember, protect your neck. Woo. Maybe were they doing jiu-jitsu before other people too? Maybe they knew that you needed to protect your neck and not let people take your back. But yeah, that's the episode. I don't know what that tangent was about. Got some good training in. I hope you all are getting some good training in. It's Men's Mental Health Month, this month of June, which the recap of May will be posted in. And how are you? Feel free to share below. We're all going through the same shit. I'm not saying, boo-hoo you or anything like that, but we're all going through the same shit, and we can empathize and understand and be there for our brothers, right? Support our brothers. That's what the spotlights are for. And our sisters, right? She Ming, that's a woman, right? So we can support, bring cash out to the people, and we can have fun while we're doing it, get to know one another, network, talk about this type of stuff, talk in the comments about this type of stuff, and just enjoy overall the culture that we can be a part of building, and if there's anything that you didn't like, let me know in the comments as well. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I said comment so many times, but one more time, because it really does help. And if you like this content, hit the bell. So, all that out of the way, once again, prayers up for this Demetrius Johnson and this Eddie Bravo interview. If I can get those, that'd be so fucking big. Because I think they have a lot of interesting things to say that a lot of people don't ask him about. And looking over my notes here, I think that there's a lot going on for catch wrestling right now. And I'm only scratching the surface. You know, if you guys help me source this stuff, get me stuff that I should know about and see, there is more than I'm even talking about. And that is encouraging. It's motivating. There's more out there. This is having a resurgence. There's competitions, more than one happening in the next couple months, more than one happening this month alone. It wasn't always like this. It wasn't like this in 2018. It wasn't like this a couple years ago. And so that is sign of growth and forward movement. And so let's keep moving it forward. And as I always say, stay up, stay vigilant, stay locked and loaded, stay brutal. Always stay brutal. Shalom, shalom. Peace. In.